All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Crypto Rolly, the crypto watch that never stops. Live technical analysis, price predictions, and trading. Wanted to do a quick Bitcoin update before the weekend. We did put in a potential reversal candle on the daily. However, we did have a bullish monthly. So we got to take everything into account, look at both sides of the story. The stock market did have a bit of a sell-off today. So will that affect Bitcoin price going into the weekend and next week? We'll have to take a look at that as well. So smash that like, tick the bell for notifications, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Remember, these are my own ideas and opinions on the market. Please do your own research, trade at your own risk. I am not your financial advisor. Looking at the market, let's take a look. Bitcoin slightly down in the past 24 hours. Your volume has decreased, still above a billion, 1.8 billion. Not terrible, but going into the weekend, the volume will slow down most likely. Going beneath a billion, slow, choppy sideways range, not a lot of continuation. You see stop hunts, wicks to the upside or downside, the usual good weekend shenanigans. Okay, so be prepared for that. And you just have slight losses and slight gains. Cardano up 2.5%. Crypto Fear and Greed Index dipped from a 44 to a 40, nothing substantial. We did climb out of this bottom that we had been in for over a month. People getting a little more enthusiastic. So maybe now that confidence is coming back into the market, potentially we get a bit of a pullback. Does the opposite of what the masses are feeling. Back here, everyone was expecting a dump, and we just kept rising. So, if you're starting to see a lot more bullish videos, my videos included, people start changing to a bullish bias, you could get a pullback. Now, we can get a pullback and still stay in a potential bull market. I've been talking about above 8K was a critical level. The halving, 10 days away. So, what we could see going into the halving, we did have, a large rally. I don't know if that was, having hype or just a correction from the major pandemic sell-off. But something that can happen is called buy the rumor, sell the news. This happens, with any large announcement or, airdrops or, forks or, stuff like that. Big news stories. You might see a run up in price and then, the day of or a couple days before or maybe the week before, people start selling off. Okay, so maybe there will be some take profit. People taking profits at these levels, or who knows, maybe Bitcoin pumps higher. So let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. Okay, so Bitcoin current price 87.38. What we're looking at today is the stock market opened up farther. So it opened with a drop. This was the beginning of today's candles and has been pushing on this critical resistance on the S&P 500. This is a 15-minute chart, the 377 EMA. You can see it held price there, and it's currently acting as support now as well. However, if the stock market S&P 500 loses this level, which it's been above for a long time, that could start a downtrend. You could start putting in lower highs and lower lows, and you can see this is a critical level on each time frame. If you go to the 1 hour, you were sitting on this red 100 EMA. It's about 28.22, we'll call it, is that support level. And you can also see this again on the daily. The daily, we came down and retested the orange 50 EMA. So going into next week, does the stock market continue to drop? The thing that everyone was expecting, considering we are at that 0.618 Fibonacci retracement on traditional stocks from here to here. Oh, I already have it drawn. Perfect. You can see we came up and tagged that 0.618 golden exactly. We were in a rising channel. We lost that rising channel. So we lost that rising channel. You can see a little clearer maybe. Let's just go to a 4 hour. Yeah, you can see it there. Lost that rising channel, hit the golden retrace and falling down. So will there be continuation next week, or do we get another bounce? this could dramatically affect the price of Bitcoin. We can see that Bitcoin, late last night rallied back up to about 90.75 and then had a sell-off pretty much coinciding with the dip in the stock market. So the stock market started selling off, and we also started seeing the same here. Okay, but as soon as the stocks found a little bit of support, Bitcoin kind of found some support as well. So 15 minutes left in Wall Street. We'll have to see how the day finishes. Does it finish down here or bounce higher? Will give us maybe a clue for price action for this weekend. But looking at Bitcoin's 4-hour, it did stick in a lower high. Also, if you look at your moving averages, you can see that it was a nice close back above the blue 10 simple, but immediate rejection. Bearish engulfing 4-hour back beneath the blue 10 simple with a lower high. Could mean a slight pullback here. However, with about 14 minutes left in this 4-hour candle, we are looking at a doji. We'll have to see how this 4-hour candle closes. But if it closes beneath the blue 10 simple, going into the weekend, possibly form a range between 88.20 and the yellow 21 EMAs at 85.28. So a possible range here on the weekend, especially if it's going to be low volume sideways. Now we could get a wick, to stop hunt above or below. Good old weekend stuff. But that's what you'd be looking at. And of course, if you lose the yellow 21 EMA, your next level would be 80.80. So where this orange 50 EMA is coming up. And I've been talking about 8K being a critical level of support as well. Basically, we had this major breakout from 7,800. And looking at the weekly time frames and a few other things, I've been saying 7,800 to 8K, we need to find support. We can come down and retest it, and it would be perfectly fine and normal, okay? Especially after a 15-20% pump to the upside, people are going to be taking profits. But I guess what we have to be aware of is how bad does the stock market sell off. If it finds support and can make another rally, maybe it rallies up higher. Maybe it sticks in a lower high and in a month gets a large sell-off. But in the meantime, it could get another rally and get a rejection. But if it gets another rally, maybe Bitcoin finds the strength to get that rally too. If the stock markets continue to sell off, then maybe you see this sell-off. So we want to see that 8K support. We'll just go to the weekly and do our usual breakdown, okay? So actually, real quick on the monthly, I did want to say one thing. We did close above the blue 10 simple on the monthly, which was pretty bullish. But the blue 10 simple is down at 83.39. So for us to retest that as support at 83.39 wouldn't be out of the ordinary either. So it could be a potential downside target to bounce from. Going over to the weekly, excuse me, need some water. On the weekly, looking to close back above all moving averages, looks really good on this weekly. So, the weekly will close on Sunday, about 2 more days. I would like to see it close, maybe it has a little bit of a wick, but, to be more bullish, I would like to see it close around this region here. Otherwise, if you come back to retest, 78.63 is where our orange EMA is. If we come back to retest that, the weekly is going to have a massive wick and look like a rejection. So, yes, retesting this level would be normal. But to be bullish, I would at least like the weekly to close up here. So whether we retest it in the next day or two and then bounce by Sunday, or close here and then next week get that retest, I would prefer to get the close. And if we need to retest, be it next week retest and then bounce. Okay. Your weekly Stokes are up, and you are seeing increase in volume. Nice breakout volume on the weekly. Going down to the daily. On the daily, Your Stokes are crossed down, so this is indicative of a short-term pullback. Doesn't have to be massive, and we are seeing that bit of a pullback. Okay, and your RSI did hit the overbought on the daily RSI, but I've been pointing out, when we are super bullish, you can go much higher into overbought territory. So we keeping that in mind, but we're not trading solely based off of that. Your 200 simple, well above it, so that's good to see that on the daily we're back above it. You have your blue 10 simple coming up, bullish crosses back above these higher time frame averages. So that's all good and dandy, but we could retest that 78.8K level. So the pink 200 simple's at 79.79, so 8K. So this candle, so the monthly close, nice bullish candle, but the daily potential rejection or reversal candle. So we have to keep that in mind. And you can see, where we're being rejected from is this level right here. Let me see do I have horizontals? Okay, perfect. So you had this local top here, and we came up. We did wick above it. Basically, anyone that had stops or liquidations above here wicked up just enough to knock those guys out of their shorts. And have come back down to retest this level. This was a horizontal level that I had found using resistance, resistance, support, resistance here. And then you had a support here as well. And this is around 8,400, and this one's at 9,200. So another potential range type area is 8,400 to 9,200 on the daily. One thing also on the weekly, before I skip over this, was the Ichimoku clouds. Actually, we came up and we tagged the bottom of the cloud perfectly on the weekly, and we're having resistance underneath this yellow baseline is at 88.27. So finding resistance there at 88.27. And maybe on the next weekly, you would like to see it close back above or back into the cloud so that you could attempt the top of the cloud. However, if you do get a pullback, the support on the Ichimoku is all the way down at 71.75. Personally, I would not like to revisit that level to maintain that bullish outlook. All right. So back to the daily, your Stoke was down, your support on the Ichimoku is at 79.78, so there's that 8K level again, okay? So, in general, we're talking about 9,200 to 8,400 region. If you lose 8,400, 8K to 7,800 would be the next target down if you were to come down that way. Okay, you're having coming up pretty soon, this purple line there. Going to the 12-hour, let's look at the 12-hour. 12-hour, this candle here is not looking so great, 87.20. You do have the Stokes coming down, a bit of bearish divergence. You can see how you have this peak and then a lower peak, even though the 12-hour price was moving up. Well, I don't know. The bodies are, however, this wick is higher than that. So we won't jump the gun and call bearish divergence too soon, but possibly. And moving averages. Let's see. Moving averages. Your blue 10 simple above, cross back above your yellow 21 EMA doing that. This could come up and provide that support. It's at 83.16 currently. The 4-hour. On the 4-hour, so like I said, on a daily time frame, 8,400 to 9,200. That's a pretty large range though. So on the 4-hour, we could potentially be in this yellow 21 EMA around 85.27 to blue 10 simple 88.20. And that 88.20 was lining up with that weekly Ichimoku resistance as well. Okay, so about 6 minutes left in this 4-hour candle, and looking like a bearish doji. You can see, let's see, the stock market retesting, 6 minutes left in Wall Street on the week, retesting that 28.22 level. Just tried to break it again. It's looking like it wants to break it. So we'll have to see if it does finish beneath that critical support I showed you at the top of the video. This could lead into possibly a sell-off. So we'll keep that in mind. You can see that it's trying to break down here on Bitcoin as well. Going to the 1 hour, let's just see, what's going on here. The 1 hour, the 50 EMAs holding support there at 86.90. So if you close the 1 hour beneath there, maybe the next red 100 EMA at 84.37 could be your target. Your Stokes are low though. They haven't crossed up, so you could still come down. But if you see that Stoke cross back up, possibly get another little bit of a small rally. Okay, 8,700 though. So we'll have to see about all that. While I'm thinking about the topic, Bitcoin. Okay, so also guys, remember the CME is about to close. It's closing pretty soon today. So we'll have to see at what level does it close, because over the weekend, if the price moves higher, you'll have a gap below. If the price moves lower, you'll have a gap above. And usually on Sunday, those gaps get filled. Unless we have something like we did at the beginning of the pandemic sell-off. There was such a large, we ended up filling this gap. We did end up filling this gap. But you started seeing a large sell-off during the weekend. And that sell-off continued through the next week, so we never came back to fill that gap on Sunday, Monday, because it was just a runaway gap. It was selling, and usually you don't see a large continuation move over the weekend, so that was interesting. But the different circumstances, I suppose. So keep in mind CME closing. The other thing I wanted to point out real quick was Bitcoin dominance. Looking at the past 2 days, Bitcoin dominance was rising. So as Bitcoin pumped, it actually outperformed the alts, and currently putting in a doji. So just nothing to be, we'll see. We'll have to see. Could this start coming down? If the dominance starts to fall, that could be possibly altcoins getting a little bit of a pump. How could that play out? Well, let's say Bitcoin doesn't really dump. Let's say Bitcoin holds this sideways range. Maybe if Bitcoin can hold a sideways range, the altcoins might get a pump over the weekend, and you'll see that dominance fall here. However, if we see a large sell-off, typically the altcoins sell harder than Bitcoin, you will see this dominance continue to rise higher. So keep watching the Bitcoin dominance. And 3 minutes left in Wall Street, still trying to push down here. And on Bitcoin, looking like it's going to close that 4 hour candle still in that range. Okay, so that's what we're looking at moving forward, guys. Sometimes it can be very slow over the weekend. I usually don't keep too many trades open on the weekend, especially Saturday. Maybe if I already have a trade open on Friday, I'll go into that, and then either I take profits, or if it gets stopped out or break even, whatever. I usually don't open a new trade until Sunday. Get a look at where that gap's going to be and position myself. All right, 2 minutes left in the 4 hour, and getting a little bit of a bounce there. Let me see. I'm going to stay on camera. Might as well for 2 more minutes. Guys, hit that like. If you haven't hit the like, leave a comment for me. If you haven't subscribed, always subscribe. I do these videos as much as possible each day. I do have the Discord group if you're interested. We have VIP chat. I'm posting lots of charts. You can see lots of Bitcoin charts. I've also been posting some altcoin charts. Yesterday we saw Stellar and BAT was breaking out. So we were seeing maybe some of the other altcoins might follow, posting trades. So the link for that, it's limited time free, is down below. Definitely come check that out. And let's see, 1 more minute. How is it going to finish? I mean, it could finish bearish, and then, the complete opposite happens on the next candle. But, while we're here, okay, so it's actually bouncing off that support again, 28.30. It's not the most bullish bounce of all, but it's better than closing beneath that critical level. So interesting to see. Not totally surprised that it held its support there. it'll be interesting to see what happens over the weekend and how the markets react next week. Okay, so it closed above that critical support there. Bitcoin closed as well. The 4-hour candle closed. Let's see. Just a doji, your blue 10 simple coming down, acting as resistance at 87.77, and your yellow 21 EMA 85.47. All right, so that's it for me, guys. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.